The 2021 FBI NCTC report, titled DVEs and Foreign Analogues May React Violently to COVID-19 Mitigation Mandates, released on December 13, 2021, identified certain critics of COVID-19 policies as potential domestic violent extremists, DVEs. Made public in 2025 by Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, the report has sparked significant debate over its implications for free speech and governance. Critics argue it represents an overreach by officials, including Attorney General Merrick Garland, FBI Director Christopher Wray, and DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, in response to a public health crisis. Additionally, revelations that some officials and public figures who supported vaccine mandates did not receive the vaccine themselves have raised questions about their credibility. This article analyzes the report's framework, its consequences, and the broader impact on public trust, emphasizing the need for accountability in policy enforcement. Overview of the 2021 report. The report flagged individuals opposing COVID-19 measures, such as vaccine mandates, mask requirements, and lockdowns, as potential DVEs if their statements aligned with anti-government or militia-related ideologies or seemed likely to encourage unrest. Its criteria included expressions of vaccine skepticism or distrust in public health institutions, often without evidence of direct intent to act violently. Commentators, including former FBI agent Steve Friend and journalist Catherine Herridge, criticized the report for its lack of clear evidence connecting criticism to actionable threats, suggesting it could infringe on First Amendment rights. While no public list of individuals was disclosed, the report likely contributed to internal monitoring through systems like the FBI's Guardian database, raising concerns about oversight and freedom of expression. Impact of the DVE designation. The DVE designation carried significant consequences for those targeted, even without formal legal action. Affected individuals faced potential monitoring, challenges in employment, social stigma, restricted access to firearms under federal law, and increased scrutiny during travel. Unlike cases related to the January 6 events, no major legal actions against COVID-19 critics under this label have been widely reported. However, the designation's broad application created a deterrent effect, discouraging open discussion. The focus on speech rather than actions heightened fears that critics, some later supported by emerging evidence, could face lasting repercussions for questioning policies now under scrutiny. Challenges in the COVID-19 response. The COVID-19 response, including lockdowns, mask mandates, and vaccine campaigns, has faced growing criticism. A 2024 House Select Subcommittee report highlighted issues such as overstated vaccine benefits, economic losses from 160,000 business closures, and policy-related nursing home fatalities, leading to DOJ inquiries into certain officials' actions. Recent 2025 studies have raised concerns about vaccine side effects, including prolonged mRNA presence and impacts on animal fertility. The possibility of a lab-related origin, supported by the House report, has further fueled debate about the response's effectiveness. These findings suggest significant policy shortcomings, prompting questions about the motives behind the response. Questions of credibility among officials. Concerns about the report's fairness are compounded by reports that some figures who endorsed vaccine mandates did not follow their own guidance. For instance, Dr. Deborah Birx, a key figure in the COVID-19 response, reportedly expressed private reservations about vaccination. Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla acknowledged delaying his own vaccination, citing logistical reasons, while promoting its necessity. Media personality Chris Cuomo later shared doubts about boosters, admitting limited vaccination. These actions, while not central to the report, highlight inconsistencies among those who supported policies while questioning critics, raising broader issues about trust in leadership. Broader implications for governance. The report's approach risks setting a precedent for future administrations to categorize policy critics as security concerns, potentially undermining free expression. The overlap in defining extremist and terrorist under federal law could allow expansive interpretations, affecting public discourse. This issue extends beyond any single administration, as the authority to designate DVEs lies with multiple agencies, and those in power may face incentives to use such tools broadly. The report's limited transparency with undisclosed details has intensified public skepticism, as seen in congressional reviews and online discussions, underscoring the need for clearer oversight. Need for accountability. The public impacted by the economic and social effects of the COVID-19 response seeks clarity on the report's use. The 2024 House report and 2025 studies have lent weight to critics' concerns, highlighting policy flaws. Yet, officials involved in the DVE designations face little public accountability, protected by institutional structures. Public discourse reflected in congressional inquiries and online platforms calls for greater scrutiny of those responsible, including Garland, Wray, Mayorkas Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines, and NCTC Director Christine Abizaid, to ensure governance aligns with democratic values. Conclusion. The 2021 FBI DNVC report's designation of COVID-19 policy critics as potential domestic violent extremists raises critical questions about the balance between security and free speech. The response to COVID-19, marked by documented challenges and inconsistencies among some endorsing officials, has eroded public trust. The report's legacy underscores the risks of broadly applied labels and the need for transparent governance. As the public demands accountability, officials must address these concerns to restore confidence, ensuring that policy enforcement respects democratic principles and prevents future overreach. Names involved in the 2021 FBI, DHS, NCTC report and steps to hold them accountable. The 2021 FBI, DHS, NCTC report, titled DVEs and Foreign Analogs May React Violently to COVID-19 Mitigation Mandates, labeled critics of COVID-19 policies as potential domestic violent extremists DVEs. Below is a list of key individuals involved, ordered by their influence and authority in creating or enforcing the report, followed by their subordinates where identifiable, based on available evidence. Following this, 2 actionable steps are outlined to hold these officials accountable. One under the current administration and another under a hypothetical future administration led by former critics now in power. Individuals involved in the 2021 report, in order of importance. Merrick, Garland, Attorney General, Department of Justice. Role: oversaw the DOJ including the FBI with ultimate authority over DVE prosecutions and investigations. Approved or influenced the report's enforcement framework. Subordinates: Lisa Monaco, Deputy Attorney General, managed DOJ operations, including counterterrorism priorities. Matthew Olsen, Assistant Attorney General, National Security Division, oversaw terrorism-related policies, likely reviewed report implications. Unnamed DOJ analysts and prosecutors, drafted legal guidance or pursued DVE cases. Christopher Wray, Director FBI. Role: led the FBI, a primary author of the report, directing DVE investigations and approving its content. Subordinates: Paul Abate, Deputy Director, FBI, supported Wray in operational oversight. Jill Sanborn, Assistant Director, Counterterrorism Division, 2021 directly managed domestic terrorism investigations, likely oversaw report drafting. Unnamed FBI Counterterrorism Division analysts, crafted the report's content, identifying critics as potential DVEs. Alejandro Mayorkas, Secretary, Department of Homeland Security. Role: led DHS, contributing intelligence via the Office of Intelligence and Analysis, endorsing the report's threat assessments. Subordinates: John Cohen, Acting Undersecretary for Intelligence and Analysis, 2021 led DHS intelligence efforts, likely coordinated report contributions. Unnamed DHS intelligence analysts, provided data on COVID policy opposition, shaping DVE criteria. Avril Haines, Director of National Intelligence. Role: oversaw the ODNI, coordinating intelligence across agencies, providing high-level approval for the report's framework. Subordinates: unnamed ODNI analysts, supported interagency coordination, ensuring report alignment with national intelligence priorities. Christine Abizaid, Director, National Counterterrorism Center. Role: led NCTC, synthesizing DVE threat data, guiding the report's focus on COVID-related narratives. Subordinates: unnamed NCTC analysts, Compiled threat assessments, linking COVID criticism to extremism. Unnamed FBI DHS NCTC analysts. Role. Drafted the report's content, defining criteria that flagged critics for vaccine skepticism or anti-government rhetoric. Lacked direct enforcement power but shaped the narrative. Notes on hierarchy. Importance is based on decision-making authority and enforcement power, with DOJ, FBI holding prosecutorial leverage, DHS providing intelligence and NCTC, ODNI coordinating. Subordinates are identified where possible, but many analysts remain unnamed due to the report's institutional authorship and redacted details. Exact steps to turn the tables on the traitors. The public's outrage, as articulated, demands accountability for officials accused of betraying trust by labeling critics as DVEs. Below are two precise steps to pursue justice. One under the current administration and another under a hypothetical future administration led by former DV-labeled critics now in power. Step 1. Actions under the current administration. Objective. Leverage the current administration's authority to investigate and expose officials involved in the 2021 report, ensuring transparency and preliminary accountability. Actions. 1. Declassify all related documents. Direct DNI Tulsi Gabbard to fully declassify the 2021 report, including redacted sections and related FBI, DHS, NCTC records identifying analysts, decision-makers and any DVE lists. Rationale. Declassification as Gabbard began in 2025, exposes intent and scope, enabling public and congressional scrutiny. 2. Initiate DOJ Inspector General investigation. Order the DOJ Office of Inspector General OIG to investigate Garland, Wray, and Subordinates for potential First Amendment violations and misuse of DV designations. Focus on whether political goals drove the report, as suggested by its lack of cited evidence. Rationale. The OIG can probe internal misconduct as seen in past FBI reviews, and recommend disciplinary actions or DOJ referrals. 3. Congressional hearings. Urge the House Judiciary Committee, led by Republican majorities in 2025, to hold hearings summoning Garland, Wray, Mayorkas, Haynes, and Abizade to testify on the report's creation and enforcement. Subpoena internal communications and database records. Rationale. Hearings, as in 2024 House probes, amplify public pressure and uncover evidence of malfeasance. 4. Pause DV investigations. Direct Wray to suspend FBI DV investigations tied to COVID criticism, pending OIG findings, to prevent ongoing harm to critics. Rationale. Halting investigations protects citizens while accountability is pursued, addressing public distrust. Expected outcome. Transparency via declassification and hearings lays the groundwork for identifying culpable officials, potentially leading to resignations, policy reforms, or civil lawsuits. Criminal charges, civil rights violations, may emerge if evidence of deliberate fraud is uncovered, though institutional protections may limit immediate prosecutions. Step 2. Actions under a future administration led by former critics. Objective. Empower former DV-labeled critics now in government positions to enact legal and systemic reforms, treating culpable officials as DVEs or traitors and ensuring justice. Assumptions. This assumes a future administration, e.g. post-2028, where individuals once labeled DVEs, such as vocal COVID critics or mandate opponents, hold key roles, DOJ, FBI, DHS leaders, due to political shifts, leveraging their experience to reform the system. Actions. 1. Establish a special task force. Create a DOJ-led COVID response accountability task force, headed by a former critic, a 2021 mandate opponent now as Assistant Attorney General, to investigate Garland, Wray, Mayorkas, Haynes, Abizade, and Subordinates for criminal acts, including fraud, civil rights violations, or treason under 18 U.S.C. Section 2381, if evidence shows intent to subvert constitutional rights. Mandate. Review FBI/DHS databases for DVE designations, interview analysts, and subpoena 2021 report communications. Use 2024 House report findings and 2025 vaccine studies as evidence of harm. Rationale. A task force like the DOJ's 2022 Election Threats Task Force can centralize investigations and pursue charges. Former critics ensure victim-driven justice. 2. Prosecute officials as DVEs. File federal charges against identified officials if evidence shows they knowingly imposed harmful policies, vaccine mandates causing documented harm, or suppressed dissent for ideological control, fitting the DV definition, unlawful coercion for ideological goals. Potential charges. Civil rights violations 18 U.S.C. Section 242(4) targeting critics' free speech, up to 7 years imprisonment. Conspiracy to defraud 18 U.S.C. Section 371(4) orchestrating a fraudulent response, up to 5 years. Treason 18 U.S.C. Section 2381. Extreme case if proven they subverted constitutional protections for power, carrying life imprisonment or death. Rationale. Prosecuting officials as DVEs mirrors their own criteria, addressing public demand for parity. Evidence from declassified records and task force findings supports legal action. 3. Legislative reforms. Propose the DVE Accountability Act, led by former critics in Congress to require public disclosure of all DVE designations. Mandate judicial oversight for DVE labels to prevent First Amendment abuses. Create a redress process for wrongfully labeled individuals, including expungement and compensation. Rationale. Legislation like the 2020 Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act strengthens oversight and prevents recurrence, addressing systemic flaws. 4. Public tribunal and removal. Convene a public tribunal broadcast nationally to present task force findings, allowing victims, former DV-labeled critics, to testify. Remove convicted officials from public office and bar them from future roles. Rationale. Public exposure restores trust and ensures traitors face social and professional consequences. Expected outcome. Prosecutions and removals deliver justice, with former critics leveraging power to dismantle abusive systems. Legislative reforms prevent future DVE misuse, while public tribunals address the public's exhaustion with unaccountable elites. Conclusion. The 2021 report, driven by Garland, Wray, Mayorkas, Haynes, and Abizade, labeled COVID-19 critics as DVEs, betraying public trust amid a contested crisis. The public's demand for justice, treating these officials as traitors, can be pursued through declassification and investigations now, followed by prosecutions and reforms under a future administration led by vindicated critics. These steps aim to deliver accountability, restore democratic norms, and ensure that those who weaponized the DV label face the consequences they sought to impose. For further action, contact the House Judiciary Committee or file FOIA requests at www.fbi.gov/FOIA or www.dhs.gov/FOIA.